Hey everybody, I'm John. I collect cards. Hope you're doing well. It's Friday, September 8th. I'm coming at you here from my unfinished space in my basement, which is was a shop in a former iteration from the former owners of the house 15 years ago or so. And now a corner of it is sort of my card world, so to speak, and it's very much a mess at the moment, and we'll see where it goes. But I'm in the middle of quote unquote decorating it and just sort of arranging it. But I wanted to take a few minutes here and talk about SGC's announcement earlier this week that they're lowering. Not only did they lower their price, which many of you who are watching this probably already know that, to $15 a card with no minimums, with the regular 5 to 10 day turnaround still, which sounds great. But they also announced the launch of their mobile app, which I thought was also a, something they needed to do. Frankly, for too long I had just a saved Google Chrome page, kind of as my on my phone for a quick, as a button. It needed to be an app and not just go right to their web page, or to my kind of submissions or whatever. So the app looks pretty good too. It's not perfect, but just thought I wanted to make a couple of quick comments about my impressions of the app, and then just about my hot take on grading. I think right now, in terms of just based on some comments I looked over yesterday, and I was sort of watching for some content on the grading news this week, and a shout out to Junk Wax Hero Mike for at least was my original source for the news on SGC's announcements. So thanks, Mike, for those. Um, my take on the app first is I think it's pretty good. It's not perfect by any means. The main glitch I think in it, and it will be addressed, that I can confirm because I actually already reached out to SGC about it. Um, if you have looked at it, or if you haven't downloaded it yet, and you have submitted to SGC in the past, I highly recommend you download it, ASAP, because it's really cool to track your previous orders, or just look at them again. I like how they arrange your previous orders. It looks like they arrange them by kind of like each one, your highest graded card is shown kind of alongside each of your subs, which is kind of neat. And then you click into it and go and see what you had each one, and the nice high res images are right there. So if you're not at home, or and you just want to check them out or whatever, or show them to somebody, you can show your cards to someone if you're easily, with really nice clarity on those images, which is a nice next step for SGC and what they do. The main thing about having your previous orders on there, the my orders section, which is great because there's also a my cards section, which a lot of people are figuring will eventually, or maybe even sooner than later, lead to a set registry. Now, I don't partake in set registries. I'm not a member of PSA, and I'm late. I'm a late re-entry to the collecting world. Again, I got just back into the hobby 3 years ago after being away for almost 30. But again, I grew up as a collector. Quite a solid overall pack ripper as a kid and collecting cards from 78 to like 90. So but then I was out for a long time. So the whole thing about where grading companies got into the mix, and I was not around for any of that. But it's been great just sort of diving back in and absorbing it all, learning and submitting. I've done 7 or 8 submissions now to SGC. So the subs you have done at the moment, you can't move them. Like, I want to be able to move them automatically to my cards, or it would be nice maybe if they were already in my cards without me needing to move them. But at the moment, I can't move any of the cards in my orders into my cards, 2 different sections, unless you're manually entering every card, or any card you have like normal, I guess, for the my card section. And so there's no like button next to each of your orders that would seemingly would say add to my cards. I commented about that on Mike's post, and he acknowledged that. And I thought about something. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna reach out to SGC about it. They're known for the customer service, so why not? I reached out to them after work yesterday, probably about, I don't know, 6 o'clock maybe. And then someone got to me, Brent got back to me here. I'm looking at his reply right now, like 8:30, so 8:08 to be exact. So, they have people checking stuff at all hours, I'm guessing, or most of the hours, and even off regular business hours, which I thought was pretty cool. Just another example of the customer service. Here was his reply to my query. Again, I said, congrats on the app launch. Really like it. One question I have: it appears future orders. Oh, and they have a setting in there already where your future orders will automatically go to my cards. Actually, they have that set and it's preset checked. But can past orders already in my orders be added without me having to enter each card? It would be great if each order on each card in an order had a button to add. So anyway, if there was something missing about this, please let me know. And he replied within 2.5 hours, or he as a customer service rep. Thanks for reaching out. We appreciate your support. Well, he started with, "Hi, John. Thanks for reaching out. We appreciate your support. There is a fix coming soon. We didn't launch the feature with the app because it wasn't ready." Simple as that. So, they clearly just, they must have had a deadline to meet, thought that was one feature that maybe they could sacrifice for version 1.0. I'm sure a lot of other users had the same thought that I did initially upon looking at my past subs. I wanted to add them right away to my cards, couldn't do it. So it's a natural, I don't want to say glaring hole, but it's very noticeable. And I'm sure they've probably sent that reply to many people yesterday or this week. But I'm assuming version 1.1 or 2.0 or whatever it's going to be will probably be out soon enough. App developers tend to upload updates or new releases on that fairly regularly. So I would expect sometime in the fourth quarter that would probably be addressed. So that's that with the app. Overall, I think it's a really nice addition, and I love the price reduction even more in some ways. Although, I like them equally, I guess. But it will probably make my next submission come a lot sooner. $15 a card. I mean, that's a significant savings of $50 on an order at least. Typical amount of cards you'd send in. So definitely something I'm thinking about getting a batch ready for maybe sending off in a couple of weeks. And so that just let me think about, people were kind of commenting about where does this put SGC now in the, in the landscape against PSA. BGS is sort of out there still. There's CSG or CGC, I think they call it. I think they're back to CGC now. And then you have Tag, which is kind of the newest major player on the block, I guess you could say. Those seem like the main five, I guess, that are kind of out there. Is it five? Yeah, main five that are kind of out there right now. And my thoughts about that in terms of is SGC going to ever, PSA can never be caught, but, does SGC, how much do they have to catch up to or make ground to make up? And, I don't know if they're even looking at it like that. PSA will never be caught. It will never be it won't even be, if it comes below 2-1, if PSA ever has less than 2/3 of the market, then that would be notable news to note. But that might never happen. I think SGC with news like they put out this week, if they're looking to gain a point here, a point there, shave a point off of off of BGS's share, another one. Maybe shave another point off PSA. If they're gaining 2%, 3%, and gradual, and adding the volume of the subs, which I'm imagining this is going to lead to in terms of the price reduction. I think that's what I don't. To me, that's from this somewhat outsider's view, maybe a very outsider view, since I don't work for SGC or any grading company. That seems like the play. I think, frankly, there's room for all of these players in the field. And my hot take on that is, PSA is PSA. They got the resale value. That's not, for the foreseeable future, that advantage is not going away. And for me and for many other collectors, that's not why I submit only to SGC. I submit to SGC because I like their turnaround time. I like their customer service. but I also like the fact that I don't need to join to be able to sub. That's the hurdle I never had been able to get over in my mind with PSA. But then at the same time, when I was start thinking about subbing cards, sending out cards, I didn't want to wait 6 months or even 3 months to get them back. If I can get them within 2 to 3 weeks from SGC, and knowing that for 99% of them, or 90 to roughly 9 out of 10 of them, I'm not going to sell. They're staying with me in my PC. But at the same time, the thought of maybe selling them down the road as part of individually, or if I ever were to part ways with the collection years and years from now, of course I think about that. But I factor SGC resale in my decision to when I buy raw cards, because I do enjoy buying raw to submit. That's a niche, that's a hobby piece that I actually enjoy quite a bit. And I like being able to, if I end up a little bit ahead on there, but in terms of what's comping, that's fun to me. If I'm coming down a little bit, if it was maybe not wise to send it into slab because I'm now underwater a little bit, that's fine too. Because it's not something that's going to be egregious probably either way. It's just part of my hobby enjoyment. So I like buying slabs on occasion as well. But I do like buying raw, decent raw to good raw, maybe even excellent raw, and submitting those. And so I'm kind of going off a little bit. I'm gonna try to wrap this up, but I think there's room for everybody in the hobby in the current landscape, and maybe that changes. Like, SGC's got for vintage collectors, they have a strong position. Because of the look of their slab and just kind of what the Tux works for vintage very well. In most cases, maybe 71 tops being an exception there, but for the most part, the Tuxes work very well for vintage. And so they have their customer service piece, and they have their price piece, and the turnaround time. So they've got they have their niches in it. PSA's got the resale thing, which is obviously for probably the majority of collectors / investors / dealers. That's king. Resale is king, but not for everybody. So SGC has their piece. Maybe a lot of this is obvious, but I just felt like I needed to state it. BGS to me is maybe the one entity that kind of like, what is their calling card right now? Where they've been around for a long time, yes. They got the Beckett name. I guess that maybe is what they have for a certain subset or certain group in the hobby too. Did I read Beckett Monthly back in the day? Yeah, sure, I did when I was a teenager and still in the hobby. But that's not a reason for me to kind of think about going to them now. It's just so they're kind of out there. They obviously have their piece in the hobby, but they don't have any buzz. The B definitely doesn't stand for buzz in BGS right now. They've been trying to sort of find their legs in terms of the grading piece of things since I've been back in the hobby the entire time. For at least 3 years they've been kind of like floundering in my sort of that's my conclusion. But but I think there is probably still a place for them. But CSG, CGC, they had some, speaking of buzz, like about their slabs being among the best out there. But at the same time, they're more into the comic books and the TCG stuff. So I think the sports card piece for them is sort of gravy on top of what they're already doing. So it's sort of an add-on for them. So I don't think, if they have 2%, 4%, 6% of the sports card grading sector, I think they're probably happy with that. And there's always will be room to grow there, but based on where they are in other collectibles markets, I think there's so they have they've made the investment initially. They're a player in sports cards, so they're here. But I don't think it's where they are overall. I don't think I think they're comfortable where they're at. Most likely, obviously, would want to grow more. But I see their homepage, and when you have like a Charizard card on like centered right on like their homepage with other sports cards, and they have like I can't remember, Magic the Gathering card maybe next to a Mickey 52 mantle. It's like that tells me kind of where where their focus sort of is. It's like, yeah, we do sports cards, but maybe our kind of real bread and butter are the non-sports card genre too. They sort of say that without actually stating it from this collector's view, and there's a place for that. So I think they have their niche. And then lastly, Tag. I think they have, in some ways, they're the most interesting player on the block right now. And I've actually thought, like, I tried to get in on their latest drop and maybe try them out. They closed up before I was able. I was in line for a while, and I got on too late and I missed the drop. But I'm not prepared to send cards, to Tag for $25 a pop just to test it out. I'm not about to do that. I mean, I have a few cards kind of right here that I'm thinking about sending to them. Or somewhere. If I were to ever get modern slab, which I still have not done yet, I've not done that, but I thought about it. I got a Volpe refractor that's actually pretty nice in terms of centering, and like it looks pretty blemish free actually. Corbin Carroll Sapia refractor probably also just happens to look pretty good in terms of blemishes. There's a Tristan Casas at a 350 from this year's Chrome. Here from two from last year that I was thinking about submitting. I got a Royce Lewis Topps Finest out of 25. Got this in a break last year. It's a pretty nice one. And I have this Spencer Torkelson from Topps Archives out of 50. And all of a sudden, I imagine his cards are going to probably start maybe getting a little bit more of a bump lately. He seems to be finally figuring it out. He's on a power surge right now. So, I'm thinking about sending cards like that, and I think Tag could be interesting in the modern market in the next year or two. If they don't get acquired, I think they're an acquisition possibility. I could see PSA actually gobbling them up and kind of seeing them being a subsidiary. That's sort of my there's my hot take there. I just think Tag, if they can build the buzz with the slabs, look amazing. The AI stuff, that's obviously the niche for them, and it seems like, especially in the modern, ultra modern part of the market, like I think collectors are hungry for something like that, and it just seems like that's like a future is now kind of a thing, and so that's kind of where where I'm thinking, like Tag definitely has a place in the current landscape and in the near term future. So we'll see where that goes. So there was my hot take of things. I might end up deciding not even to post this video, but I thought I'd record something and just share a few thoughts about my thought on the graders at the moment, and wanted to share that little reply I got back from SGC. Looks like they're actively working on the next version already, which would include that kind of no-brainer addition to the My Cards section from your orders. So with that, I'll wrap it up here. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, I appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.